The demise of the INF Treaty is quickly paving the way for new missile site testing and ultimately possibly a new arms race. The most recent case involves the United States and its allies in the Asia-Pacific region, but China says it's having none of that. RT correspondent Sayeh Tavangar is live for us in studio and bringing us all the details. Sayeh?
That is right. China is warning it will not stand idly by if the U.S. deployed ground-based missiles to Asia. This as a trade war and strained relations are fueling fears of a new arms race between Beijing, Washington, and Moscow. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper is currently touring the Asia-Pacific region and discussing the United States' ambitions of deploying new missiles in the region. Esper made stops in Australia and Japan and will now visit South Korea. These three countries, by the way, are the same ones Beijing warned the U.S. to avoid hosting missiles. And while all three are key U.S. allies, they also consider China as its largest trading partner. One Chinese official delivered this warning to the U.S.
We call on the U.S. to exercise restraint. And I also want to make one point absolutely clear, that China will not stand idly by and will be forced to take countermeasures should the U.S. deploy intermediate-range ground-based missiles in this part of the world.
Beijing has not specified what countermeasures they would take in response to a U.S. missile deployment. China has, however, announced that it has no interest in arms control talks with the U.S. and Russia, which contradicts a previous statement made by President Trump.
If we could get a pact where they reduce and we reduce nuclear, that would be a great thing for the world. And I do believe that'll happen. We have discussed it. I've also discussed it with China. I've discussed it with President Putin. I've also discussed it with China. And I will tell you, China was very, very excited about talking about it, and so is Russia.
Now, a top Russian official has also said that they could not see ways to involve China in its arms control talks with the U.S.
The Americans mentioned that it would be good if the IMF treaty is multilateral and mentioned China as one of the potential parties. But we know that China said they don't want to take part in the process. And why China only if we are talking about a multilateral treaty? Why aren't the UK or France taken into account?
He also added that they invited the U.S. to see the Russian missile themselves before Washington pulled out of the INF treaty, but the U.S. has refused their invitation. The Trump administration has argued that the Russian-American arms agreement are outdated in the context of a rising China, and that formally pulled out of the INF treaty last month on the grounds of Russian violations, in which Moscow has repeatedly denied. Now, many perceive the real reason that the U.S. pulled out of the INF was the need to counter China's advances in missile technology and restore a balance in light of lingering questions over the effectiveness of the anti-missile defense system. Currently, China has an estimated 290 nuclear warheads deployed, compared with 1,600 for Russia and 1,750 for the U.S. Russian President Vladimir Putin has called for urgent arms control talks to prevent a chaotic arms race following the treaty's demise. Manila, back to you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.